Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be reviewing, now I can't actually say her name properly, so I will be saying it completely wrong, so I apologize, and it is Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, which I liked. We'll talk about it. There was a few things in this. But before we begin the review, if you want to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, as well as that cheeky notification bell to be notified when more videos drop. And with that, let's just jump straight into it. So this is from Manga Entertainment, and at the moment it is currently streaming on Funimation, so if you want to check it out, you can do. It will be right there. When I first heard about this anime, I was very curious. I have seen multiple pictures of this the character, which is Toru. I have seen kind of memes and stuff, and I kind of really wanted to check it out. But I have some gripes and I have some about it at the same time. But it's kind of cool. I just wish it went in a different direction. Now, I also kind of think of this as a background anime. And what I mean by this is that you can easily turn around and stick it on in the background and you would hear little bits about it. You wouldn't kind of like notice, but you just kind of look up, which is fine if you just want something in the background, if you're talking with your friends, or if you're working and you just want some sort of noise. This is what I would kind of say it is. The anime kind of focuses on two characters, one being I'm going to call it Kaba because it's so easier, and Toru, and it's the kind of bond that they have. But with Kaba, you kind of see that she doesn't really like Toru that much, and at the beginning, and she's just kind of really wants to get on about her day. Now her main day is going to work, then drinking with a friend, and then that's particularly it, and it kind of focuses around that. First of all, I kind of think this is a slice of life stroke fantasy anime because it doesn't really have much in the way of, you know, huge dragons that come in fighting. If there is, it's only very small. So I kind of see this more as a slice of life anime, but that's it, that kind of like to me. So with this one, you have Miss Kobayashi-san. I'm going to say it wrong, sorry, I'm very sorry. She stumbles into the forest and she saves Toru, who has, I think, a giant sword in her back and she's hurt. And they kind of like start talking and make kind of a deal and say, hey, do you want to become my maid? And Toru's like, yeah, why not? And thus therefore like kind of a love bond. Now, this is what kind of irritates me because you see this all the way through, and it annoys me because it feels like with Toru, she has this thing with Kabashima, and that's it. You know, she wants to kind of like be hers and hers alone. You see this with Riko and Kana, and it really irritates me a lot to the point where it makes the anime completely off-putting. So straight off the bat, you know that Toru is in love with Kobayashi. Damn, I hope I keep getting that right. When Kobayashi's at work and she meets up with a work colleague and they go for a drink, Toru is there and she's like, oh my god, I hate him already. And there's no kind of flirting between the guy and Kobayashi. There is nothing, and you know, they're just talking about work, they're talking about stuff. But one thing I really don't like is how they turn this guy into a typical stereotype of an otaku, and that's what kind of really irritates me, but we'll get in with that in a second. But it's the fact that Toru wants to plot the death, you know, wants to make sure that she hates him, like, you know, not giving him a chance, even though there is no kind of romantic feelings whatsoever. So to me, that kind of really like annoyed me. And at the very end, Toru tells him, says, look, you know, I've turned into a dragon, I really don't like you, kind of stay away from her. And the guy's like, I'm gonna forget about this, this is what it's like when I'm drunk. And it kind of follows this sort of thing. Now, Toru has the ability to, if she destroys something, she can bring it back, which is good because the apartment that they live in gets trashed multiple times, and that's particularly it. So I really generally like that. So one of my favorite things is when Makoto, which is his name, the co-worker, they decide to go to a Comic-Con and he's got a booth and he needs help. And they obviously have help. And I really enjoyed that kind of con atmosphere because it felt like Toru could be herself, like you actually be part dragon, and no one would really care because they would think it's cosplay. But I generally really like the fact that it was all shown, and it's nice to see conventions from a Japanese point, even though they may not be from the ones like over here. So I generally kind of really wanted to kind of like see what it was like. And I enjoyed those episodes because it felt like there wasn't any like anything being forced or anything like, it felt like a wholesome, and that's what I wanted all the way through this anime. I just couldn't get over the fact that there was so much jealousy or so much love and affection when the other character wasn't giving it back, and that's what kind of ruined this a little bit more for me. I felt like this anime could have been normal. So in the aspect is, if you took out all the dragon elements, it would have been normal to me. It would have been absolutely fine, and I think it needs to go down that direction, because when other dragons are kind of brought in on this, it just doesn't kind of feel right. It just feels like, oh, these are people that, they don't like humans, or they love humans, or, it's just a way that they wanted to kind of put more in. But because they weren't that in their dragon form for long, it felt like the whole dragon element didn't need to be there. I think one of the elements that I absolutely hated with two characters, which was Riko and Kana. And I generally really hated the relationship that they had, because I felt it was way over the top. It wasn't what you kind of expect. And at the very beginning, Riko hates Kana, but then all of a sudden, Kana, like, she does something and Riko's like, oh my god, it's super cute. Like, she could do anything. Kana could do anything, and Riko would, like, eat it up. Like, all of a sudden, like, oh, stubbed her toe. Like, how dare you stub your toe? Naughty sidewalk. Or, she would burp and she'd be like, oh my god, it's so cute. When you see these sorts of characters, male or female, and they do this, it is really, really off-putting. To the point where you're just like, I can't stand this. I generally can't stand any of this whatsoever. And I feel like if they took or toned it down a bit, it would be absolutely fine. It wouldn't just be the same sort of element that you would just get kind of bored, because when you saw the two characters on screen together, you just kind of think, oh, what's going to happen now? Are they going to be, or is it going to be kind of like oh look, for the next 5 minutes, one's going to be fawning over, and then the other one doesn't really know and thinks of their friend, and pick up a flower, and it's like boom, instant love, like, oh my god, it's amazing, you're amazing. And I felt like this is the same thing with Toru and Kobayashi. I feel like you could have like the entire episode of them sat on a sofa and they'd be cuddled up or watching, and hearts everywhere, and that would be the tone of the anime for that. And it just kind of, it's very, very off-putting. Not what I like. It's an anime which I like the look of, I like the idea of it. The execution, not so well. Talking about the good parts, because this is not all bad. As I said, I love the Comic-Con. The talent show for them making food was really, really cool. And I kind of like the love at the very end. With the love at the very end, you had Toru. She had to go back to see her father, go back to the Dragon World. And this is when you saw the affection of Kabashira as well as Toru, and they loved each other. And it was that thing where she was like, no, I want her to come stay here, I don't want her to go. And I liked that because it felt like there was a connection. I think that if you had this at the very middle of the anime, then you would have had the characters grow a little bit more, and then you could be relatable and you can say, look, I really like this. I think one of my favorite parts in it is when Toru goes to Karishima's work, and she sees that Karishima's being kind of attacked by a boss, and shouts at and stuff. And just when Toru just kept tripping him over and he didn't understand what was going on. And it just made the anime slightly more interesting, because I would love to have seen this maybe a couple more episodes where he keeps falling over and he's like, oops, 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 which would have been absolutely great. So I kind of really liked that. It made me laugh a few times. Now, when you kind of watch certain animes, you see an episode and you go, oh my god, I need to watch that right now. And there's one episode where they play dodgeball, but the way that they put it is all the dragons have been defeated, and it's this whole thing where going oh my god, what's going to go on? How does this work? It couldn't have happened. Oh my god. It makes you think, holy crap, there's something here I need to watch. I need to watch the next one. And you find the dragons just love dodgeball and they love going against each other. So when they're throwing balls and stuff like that, it kind of goes on further. And I thought that was very kind of funny, because I could see dragons doing this. It's when you get overpowered beings just having a basic game, and it's all the elements that I want. You see the power being used, the kind of smack talk, and that's what I generally really liked. When Toru uses her powers. I think the other one I like is when this robber steals something and she's like, huh? And she uses the power and she like uses super speed and she like grabs the bag back and everyone's like, oh my god. I really like that, and I wanted to see more of it rather than just the kind of like looking after the house or occasionally talking or the work element. I would rather have seen more of this than what we got through the anime. One thing I would have liked is, you see this run all the way through, I really wish that Kirishima would have eaten the tail. It's just that one little thing that is kind of said at the very beginning and it's said at the very end, and it still doesn't happen, but I kind of really wish it would, because I think that would be like a nice thing of like, okay, I trust you enough to eat your tail. But that was about it. But I think they say like the tail is poisonous or something. But that is roughly it. My final thoughts. This anime is okay, as I said, for background anime. I wouldn't watch it more than, like, say 2 or 3 times if I was in the mood for watching something in the background. But I didn't really pay a lot of attention at the time. So I went over it again to find what I wanted. And you know, it was kind of interesting and kind of not, but it felt again like an anime that I could easily just let go in the background. There are some cool elements, which I said, the dodgeball, the Comic-Con, especially when one of the dragons tries to sell his work and it doesn't work. It's like, there's a whole book of like charms or like incantations that will do destruction. No one buys it, and I kind of thought that was really, really funny. You know, I kind of liked some of it. I think a lot more could have been expanded on, but most of the time when you saw Riko and Kana, I just generally didn't like that element. I thought that it didn't need to be in there, or they could have toned it down quite a bit. Some of the characters were fine, some of the story elements were okay, but for me, some of it was over the top, some of it wasn't. Some of the stuff that I wish they amped up could have been better, but the stuff that they didn't want to do, like the whole, like somehow the feelings, as well as some of how some of the dragons acted, that could have been taken out. I think there's one with Fafnir. He was a good character. I really did kind of like him. He was the one who had the comic book stall. There's one element which I really liked, and it's Toru's arch nemesis, where she comes down, she wants to destroy Toru, and it's just the way that Toru opens a portal to another world and tricks this character to go in. And that's it. And I found that funny because it was more like closed door. And then when she came running back, like, oh, I've had to fly here with so much time, and like you tricked me, and that's not fair. And I think also that she goes and works at the same place as Kirishima as well. And I generally really like that because it felt like they could be friends. And then Toru hated that as well. So that to me was very kind of funny. So I liked those sorts of interactions. So those were like the kind of ones that I wanted to see a lot more of compared to what we got. Lucola, I didn't kind of get her character that much. She popped up randomly and I was just like, oh, who is this? Lucoa, I think how you say it. Her character I think annoyed me a little bit because it just felt that she was just placed in this for the fan service, and that's how I kind of saw it at, especially when she's being kind of pervy at times. I was like, yeah, this is just a character that it was just put in for fan service. But yeah, I think there were some really good parts in this, and there were some really bad parts. Would I recommend this? I think that if you like The Maid and you like dragons, and yeah, cool. It's a good story. Would I kind of buy it? I don't think I would. I'd rather watch it on the streaming for Funimation, and that's about it really. It's one of those ones you can drop in and out of. There's no real kind of story to it, but and I think I remember that like there was a whole controversy a while ago that they changed something in the dubbed version. If you do, let me know down below in the comments. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna leave it there. This was a okay anime, not the best. It's one of the weaker ones that I've watched, and it's ones that I'm not fully on board with, but other people like it. That's absolutely cool. So I'm gonna leave it there. What are your thoughts on this anime? Have you seen it? What did you think? Do you think I hit the right spots on this? What was your favorite moments? Let me know down below in the comments. And if you like this sort of content and you want to see more, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, as well as that cheeky notification bell to be notified when more videos drop. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.